I will share my screen. And if as we're going through this, you guys have questions, please interrupt. We want to make sure that you're feeling confident, and obviously we'll send this recording out to everybody after. We also have, as John mentioned, a lot of documentation and support regarding the integration between Brightspace and Connect. So
yes, I will send the video that is on our website about how to pair after this as well.
okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I am starting from my course homepage. So the first thing to think about is that similar to with Moodle, it is a one-to-one correspondence between your Connect section and your D2L or Brightspace section. So if you are teaching 3 sections, you'll need 3 Connect sections and 3 sections in Brightspace. So we do recommend that you at least start building the course on the Connect side prior to integrating it with Brightspace. You don't have to have everything built out for the whole semester or anything, but at least make sure that you have a shell there ready to go so that you've got something to pair it with when we go through this process.
And if anybody needs a shell, I can copy you one over. So.
Yep, and that's what I was going to say. Certainly we can copy one, myself, John, or your implementation consultant, Anne, would be happy to work with you to get the Connect piece up and running as well. We're also happy to set up one-on-one time. So in case you want a little bit of extra support the first go around pairing with Brightspace for spring semester, one of us is happy to help walk you through that process one-on-one as well. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so I am on my content homepage here on my Brightspace course, and you'll see I've started setting up some modules just into units over in my table of contents on the left. But the great news is that because it's assignment level integration, however you set up your Brightspace page, that the Connect assignments can easily integrate wherever you need them to. So the first step I would recommend is creating a new module that's specific to Connect. So just calling it something like McGrawHill Connect. Once you've created that module, you'll go in and choose this existing activities dropdown, scroll down to external learning tools. And from there, you're going to choose McGraw-Hill Connect Launch. Once you choose that, you'll see that the link has now been added. So I'll go ahead and click on it. And this is going to bring me to a page where I get started with my Connect association. So one of the great benefits of integrating with Brightspace is that it's a single sign-on. So you don't have to separately go out to Connect anymore. All you'll have to do is click on your link from within Brightspace and they'll take you right over. So we'll go ahead and begin. And this particular piece, you only have to do one time ever. And then after that, you don't have to remember your login credentials for Connect again. So I'll go ahead and click continue. It's going to prompt me to log in with my Connect credentials. So keep in mind, this is for Connect. It's not for Brightspace. So I'll enter in my username and password and click sign in. And now from there, it's going to bring me to this page where it asks whether I want a new Connect course or an existing. Now, this is where when I recommended that you always set up a Connect section prior to beginning this process. This is why, because if you were building from scratch, you'd choose this top one, a new Connect course. But if you've already at least created this section, you're going to choose a section in an existing Connect course. Now, this is going to pull up all of the Connect courses that you have available in your account. So I apologize that I have a rather robust list here, so it won't take you as long to scroll through all these. I'm going to just scroll through.
Jess has a course for every book we have.
I do. It's a little overwhelming at times. So I'm just going to choose, you know what, we'll just choose one of the first ones up here. I will go with my auditing course. That's one I use often for these purposes. So once you choose your course, it's going to bring up all of the sections that you have. Now, this is where, again, that one-to-one correspondence, once you pair one Connect section with one Brightspace section, that is going to show up here. So let's say I already paired this top section with Brightspace. It'll come up with a little icon that says already paired, and this will not be available for me to select. So I'm going to go ahead and select this since I haven't yet paired it and click save. And now I'm done with that piece. It's that easy. So now you'll notice if I go back to Brightspace, now this Connect launch page. So if I go back, let's say to my table of contents, and now I click on my McGrawHill Connect and click on my McGrawHill Connect launch. Now you're going to see all these menu options because I've established that connection between my Connect section and my Brightspace section. So now I can go straight to my Connect section right from here. I can run a manual sync. So if I make any changes in Connect and I want to bring them through, if a student says my grade is missing and you want to pull through grades immediately, that button will come in handy. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my Connect section.
So the benefit here being that once you pair this the first time, you'll be able to jump into Connect immediately without having to, Google Connect or go to your favorites bar and go to it and sign in again. It'll consistently allow you to jump back and forth, and everything that you use in Connect will slide over to Brightspace when you deploy it here.
Yep, so that's a perfect transition to the next step, which is deploying assignments from Connect into Brightspace. And all that means is essentially pushing through those assignment links so that they live in the Brightspace side. So I'm on my Connect section homepage here. I've already created a bunch of assignments, as you can see. So what I can do now is I'll start bringing them over. So I'm going to do my Chapter 1 SmartBook assignment, my Chapter 1 interactive applications, my Chapter 2 SmartBook assignment, and my Chapter 2 assessment, let's say. Now you can do these all in bulk at once, or you can go chapter by chapter, whatever makes sense to you. And I'll show you if you do it in bulk, but you want to put them in different modules in Brightspace, that is possible. So once I've selected all of the assignments that I wish to bring over into Brightspace by clicking on this checkbox here in this blue column, I'm going to scroll back up to this stack of papers assignment options drop-down menu. Now, because we've integrated our Connect section and our Brightspace section, I now have this option to deploy/manage with the little Brightspace icon. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And so here's where you can see up in the top right corner, I have the option to manage either in bulk or individually. So if I've only selected the assignments that I want going all into the same module. So let's say I've selected all of my Unit 1 assignments and I want to put them in my Unit 1 module. All I need to do is leave this in bulk selected here. And then I can choose my options down here, which I'll get to in just a second. If I do it individually, let's say I selected all of the assignments that exist in my Connect course and I want to pull them out into each module folder in Brightspace, I can click individually and it will give me the option to select for each assignment my grade type and my destination, where I want it to go in Brightspace. So I just want to point that out because you do have the option to do it either way, whatever makes most sense to you. If you want to go unit by unit, chapter by chapter, or let's say you just have one folder in Brightspace that you call Connect assignments or what have you. It's up to you how you organize your Brightspace, obviously, but we've got options to do it both ways in Connect. So regardless of which way, you'll have the option to choose your grade type. So this means what grade flows through into the Brightspace Grade Center. So you can choose that if this is a multi-attempt assignment, meaning the students get more than one chance, you can do best attempt, the most recent attempt or last, and the average of attempts. So it defaults to best. That's probably the most common implementation that we see, but you can select these others if you wish. And then from here, this dropdown of destination, this is where you choose which module in Brightspace you want those assignments to go to. So because I've only selected chapters 1 and 2, I want them both to go into my Unit 1 folder. And I'll go ahead and click on this deploy button down here. So now it says, okay, we're deploying your assignments. I'll click okay. So now on my Connect section homepage, you'll see now there's this column that says deployed, and any assignments that have successfully come over, let me refresh my screen here, will now have a Brightspace icon next to them, meaning, yep, it successfully flowed through into Brightspace. So that's a good way to keep track if you are doing it in batches. You can say, all right, I left off at chapter 2. Now I'm going to pick up at chapter 3. and I'm going to deploy my chapter 3 to my next unit folder because I know they haven't been deployed yet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just so you can see them come through into different spots. So again, select them in that blue column, stack of papers, deploy/manage. I'm going to choose my best attempt, and it's thinking here. I apologize, I've been having internet issues today. This is the first week that my husband is also working remotely. He's a teacher, so I think our internet's adjusting. So here's where I'll say destination, and now I can choose my unit 2 and deploy.
So as you add those folders in Brightspace, they'll become a location here. That's part of the Brightspace and Connect communicating. And if you don't want to organize it here, or you just want to throw them all into Connect in one folder, you can always move them later. So don't think it's a final thing. You have to have everything built out before. If you want to get it paired and go over, you can organize your Brightspace shell later. It's not a end all be all.
Yes, absolutely. You can reorganize them on the Brightspace side if you want to. Or if you say, you know, I've only gotten as far as unit 1, I'm going to wait and do my unit 2 later on. You don't have to do it at once.
And Jess is showing this here with assignments already here that she's deploying. Let's say later on you were to build another assignment. Once you're building the assignment, one of the last steps allows you just to deploy it right then and there. So this is only the steps that you need for assignments that you have already built. For future assignments, it will give you that option if you're paired.
Yep, and that's a good point, John, and I'll show that in just a moment. I did want to just show, now I'm back on my Brightspace content homepage. And so now you can see in my unit folders, it's started populating all of those Connect assignments. So you can see the start and the due date. You can see this name. And you'll see if you click on this, the very first time that students click on a Connect assignment from Brightspace, it will prompt them through the registration process. Every time after that, when they click on the assignment link, the assignment will just open right up for them. So they get that benefit of single sign-on. They don't have to go somewhere else. Doesn't really even feel like they're going out elsewhere. So then the beauty is too, you can integrate, you know, if you've got other non-Connect assignments or PowerPoints or things like that that you're putting into your unit modules in Brightspace, you can put those all in here together. So the students are getting everything they need in one spot. Now, if you as the instructor click on one of those assignment links, it will take you out to that assignment homepage. So it'll give you any student activity, give you the option to preview, etc. And then if you wanted to get back to your Connect section homepage from here, you simply click on Home and it'll take you right back. Questions so far? It's pretty straightforward. So
this is beautiful.
Good. I'm so glad.
That's beautiful. It makes sense.
Yes, it's pretty streamlined. You know, once you go through it once, it's pretty streamlined. So I did want to just point out what John was mentioning in terms of if you're creating new assignments. So I'm going to go in. This is an assignment that I started building, but I haven't yet finished. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to edit this assignment. So let's say, you know, I finish adding my questions, I'm setting my point values, etc. And then I'm continuing on to my policies. And this does bring up the good point that even once you have assignments deployed into Brightspace, you can make edits as much as you need to on the Connect side, and those edits will flow through into Brightspace. You do want to make sure that for things like due dates, point values, etc., you're changing them on the Connect side and not the Brightspace side, because changes will flow through from Connect into Brightspace, but not the other way around. They won't flow from Brightspace into Connect. So you always want to make sure if you're changing things like point values and due dates, you do those in Connect. And I also like to point out that at this point, for things like point values, you do want to make sure you make those edits prior to students starting the assignment. Once students are active in the assignment, then your editing options are a little more limited in Connect. So just wanted to point that out.
Jess?
Oh, yes.
Would you show again how you edited the point value? I missed
Absolutely. Yes. So I came into edit. Actually, let me just back out altogether from here so you can see the whole process. So if it's an assignment that I'm working on, I haven't yet deployed it, but I've begun. It's showing up in yellow here in my assignment list. So I'll click the title of the assignment. And then from this assignment options drop down, I'll choose edit. And when you do, the default takes you to this tab of organize assignment here. So what I'll do to change point values is click on set all point values.
Oh, okay.
And here's where you can choose setting the entire assignment to be worth a certain amount. So this is helpful if you have, you know, varying numbers of questions in your assignments, but you want them all to be worth 10 points or what have you. It'll auto distribute however many points is necessary to add up to the total that you want, no matter the number of questions. You can also say each question is worth a certain amount or specific question type. So let's say you have an exam where you want the multiple choice questions to be worth 2 and the short answers to be worth 5. You can do it that way here as well.
Wonderful.
So go ahead and say I want my entire assignment to be worth 10 points, click set points, and then here's where you'll see it'll auto distribute. So now I've chosen 10, so a question is worth 1. Questions about that process? That was a good question. I know that's one that comes up often.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I also want to reiterate one thing she said about the one-to-one pairing. You will need a different connect section for each Brightspace shell you want to pair with. I've just seen it as a common thing where people try to pair the same one. If you're trying to do something like this, just get all the connect how you want it set up as you want it. Then you can duplicate that section multiple times and rename it. That way they're all the same if you wanted to do that, but it can't just be one connect section. I just wanted to clarify that one.
Yes, that's a great point too. And I'll show you how you can easily duplicate your connect section as well. So if I'm teaching, you know, 3 sections of auditing, then I can just go ahead and set it up the way I like it the first time and then just duplicate it twice more. So I've got my 3 sections set up in Connect without actually having to create everything 3 times. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead.
I have one question, please.
Yes.
When I went into mine, I'm teaching public speaking, and when I have a reading for my students, okay, I clicked on the reading, but it attached a point to it, and I couldn't not have a point, and I didn't want it to be a point for that. So it attached like, oh, it was 10 points just for the reading. I think I must have clicked on something incorrectly, or maybe I clicked on the whole section of the chapter, which included an assignment. Okay, I mean, how do you do that? How do you do only a reading so that it is an assignment for them? Read chapter 1, but it's also, I don't know.
So are you doing the reading assignments through the ebook or through the smart book? Which one? Do you know?
I think it might be I don't know. How should we do it?
Well, it's up to you. Why don't I click through this assignment, because that's a slightly different assignment type. So let me
Okay.
click through this one, and then I promise I'll go right to the reading assignments. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. So once I have my policy settings the way I like them, my due date, etc., I click review and assign. And so at this point, this is where, as John mentioned, now that my course is paired up, now this last step before I click assign is going to give me the option to deploy right away. So if I'm ready to go ahead and deploy it, I can just say, yep, this goes in my unit 1, best attempt. Deploy is toggled to on as the default. Now, the other thing to realize is if you pair them up and you don't want to deploy it yet, you're not ready, you're still making edits, etc., you can click off and that will not deploy it. So it's not like once you integrate them, you have to deploy everything as you build it, but it just makes it easier so you're not having that one extra step of having to go through that deployment process if you're building as you go. So I'm ready to deploy it. I'm going to go ahead and click assign. And so now you'll notice that because I chose assign on my chapter 1 assignment, because I deployed it, I've got that icon there. And if I return to my Brightspace, we'll see that now that chapter 1 assessment has come over into my Brightspace. Okay, So let's get back to the reading assignments, and I'm not sure whether this particular book has the ebook assignability, but I'm pretty sure it does. So we'll just take a look. So there's two ways to assign readings in this add assignment area. So the Smart Book is our interactive and adaptive ebook that integrates questions along with the chapter readings. So that really ensures that students are really retaining the material, and you have data to show how much time they're spending, what concepts they struggled with, et cetera. So that's the Smart Book, which you can assign for 0 points. You have to assign it in order for students to have access, but you can assign it for 0 points. Then the other option is this reading assignment, which essentially is just a link that takes them to that particular section in the ebook. So let's give that a try if that was what you were referring to. So if I'm going to choose one section here, oops. I didn't mean to do that. My Zoom was covered up here. I would choose the checkbox next to what I want them to read. So if I want them to read all of chapter 1, let's say, come on. I apologize. My internet is not being very responsive. We'll just go with this section. And I'll click
So
continue.
if it's more than one section, you just click on those.
Correct. Yeah. So it's just my internet is not letting me click on multiple sections, but yes, you can click. Let me just deselect this.
Because I think I clicked on the whole thing, chapter 1, and which included the exercises and everything, and it gave me a wonky, number.
Okay, so let's see. So I just clicked chapter 1, which in this book does include exercises. These are not, auto-graded exercises or anything. These are just essentially the exercise at the back of the chapter, let's say. And I'll go ahead and click continue. So I'll give it a start date and a due date. So there's no option here to create points. Let's see if I put it in my unit 1 and deploy it. Let's see what happens. So it'll show up at the bottom of my list here. So if I look on this, yeah, it's in the category of reading. And if I go back to my Brightspace, let's see. Unit 1. And, oh yeah, it's this one. So I don't think that there should be points associated with it. So Maria, maybe that's something that we could troubleshoot offline.
Awesome.
If there's points associated with it and you followed that same process, let's you and I meet up after.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, I want to show you, since we talked about it, how to easily duplicate a course. So I'm going to go back to my Connect section by clicking on my McGrawHill Connect launch and then go to my Connect section. This is just an easy way to get back into Connect. Never have to sign in separate again. So let's say I've set up this course. Everything is exactly as I want it to be, and I'm teaching 2 sections this semester. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my courses. And so all you'll have to do, and even if it's, let's say you're going to have different due dates. Let's say you're teaching a 16-week and a 12-week, but you want to keep all the assignments the same. You just want to change the due dates. You absolutely can do that. When you duplicate it, they're not associated with each other. So they're 2 independent courses, and changes you make in one will not affect the other. So if you change due dates to reflect a 12-week schedule instead of a 16-week, you'll be totally fine. So I'm going to go ahead. This is the course that I was working on. It's very good. So I want to say, yep, I'll just click that little gear icon to the right of the name of my section. So think about each of these little titles beneath the cover of the book. Think of those as your sections, right? So I'm going to click the gear box and then choose duplicate section. And so here's where I'll call this, let's call it ACC 201, and this is section 2. Continue to new section. And so now if I continue to my new section, you'll see that this one, well, I've got a lot of assignments, so it's going to take a minute for them all to come over, but you'll see that this one is not paired up. It does not have that deployed column. So I haven't yet integrated this section with my Brightspace yet. But if I come here to switch sections, you'll see now here's all of my sections. And if I go back to my original, that's the one that's already been paired up. So now with my duplicated section, I can just go to my next Brightspace section and follow that exact same process with my new duplicated connect section. If I wanted to change the dates easily, so let's say here's my duplicated section and now I just want to go in and change dates. You can select all the assignments either individually or all at one time. I'm not going to do that because there's a lot, but I'll select them, go to this stack of papers and
Same
choose.
place you would deploy, but go to manage dates this time.
That's right. And choose manage dates. And here's where you can say either I'm going to do it in bulk if you're going batch by batch, or if you click individually, you can say, okay, for each of the assignments, here's the new due date and time, here's the new start date and time, and save, and then you're good to go. Okay, that was a lot of information in a quick period of time. What questions do you guys have?
Can I ask
Yeah,
a
it was a
question,
lot of
Jess?
information, but we'll get this video out to you. I'll get you a document that walks through the steps of pairing as well. I will send you a video that shows how Jess just did it as well. And I will get you the link to work with Ann, Jess, or myself on doing this one-on-one if needed.
Thank
That's a
you.
quick
That would be
question.
helpful.
Yeah, was there a question?
Yeah, in that bulk date, if you're assigning, if you're teaching another course next term, and this term went from January to March or April, can you then go into the next term and say it starts on May and go through July? And will it update the dates in the same order and with the same date ranges, et cetera? When you do the bulk update?
Got it. No.
Yeah, it tends to be what I've normally seen on that is someone, and I guess it takes a little setup, is they'll copy, their fall 2020 section to fall 2021, and then it'll have similar ranges.
Okay.
But yeah, no, the date, it doesn't.
So we have the option to shift dates. It takes a little math up front because you have to figure out, okay, I've had instructors do this where they're like, okay, it's exactly 362 days different. But then I would recommend, going in and doing some spot checking.
Okay.
To get it into like the right range, you can do it. But I will say that if you go in and do it, let's say, I don't know why these are 2024 due dates, but you can use the double arrows. So if you are using like from fall to fall or spring to spring, you can at least like fast forward with the double arrows through the years pretty quickly.
Okay, that's helpful.
So that's helpful. It's still a little tedious, but better than better.
You got 40 assignments, you got to change dates. It'd be nice just to say, figure out the calendar and reconcile these two calendars and magically make it all right.
If I could figure out that magic, I totally would be on
Yeah,
board.
that's
Maybe
somebody's
someday.
programming. Okay, thank
That's
you.
right. That's a good suggestion for enhanced functionality though. So thank you. But yeah, for now, this is what we've got. Good
I'm
question.
okay with that.
What else?
Can you show me what it looks like when there's only one attempt for an assignment?
Sure, it'll still give you the same options. So for instance, let's see. I betcha my assessment.
It would give you all the same three, but the best, last, and first would all be the same thing.
Yeah, so like for instance, in this one, I've got one attempt allowed. And so let's see, if I chapter 4 assessment, it's still gonna give me the same thing. It won't customize it, but it'll obviously just take the one attempt. And the default is always the best. So yeah, it looks the same. Good question.
Okay, so it won't change from best. It'll be there as best.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
Yes.
can choose to move it. Obviously, on a single attempt assignment, it doesn't matter which one you choose because only the one grade is going to come through. You can also choose to change that once you deploy it. If you're like, oh, I thought this through and I actually want to take the average, you can go back and through that same deploy manage.
Exams are one attempt. Everything else, I have multiple attempts, but exams are one attempt.
Got it. Yep. And so for that, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Is there a way to extend an exam for one student who didn't take it on time? I think I've seen that done before. I just can't.
Yes,
Remember.
there is. Let me sign into a different account that has students so I can more easily show you that. Let's see.
Think I've done that, but I'm rusty.
Extension.
Yes, you can issue an extension. Give me
Okay.
1 second here. Oops, it's still recognizing that I'm logged in on that other. Well, I'll talk through it hypothetically speaking, and then you can see what it looks like because my courses don't have students in them is the only thing. So if I wanted to grant an extension to an individual student, I can click on the checkbox next to the assignment or exam, choose the stack of papers and go to that same manage dates. But when you have students enrolled, a little tab that says extensions will appear here. It'll give you your student roster over on the left-hand
Ah, yeah, okay.
name
I remember
next to
now.
the student, and
Yes,
then choose the due date. Yep.
okay.
That's also where you can grant an additional attempt to students if necessary. You can, if I've had it come up a lot this semester actually, where a student wants to take the exam early, so you can change the start date and
Okay.
grant an early extension for students. But yes, it's through that same manage dates and extensions. The other thing to keep in mind is if you have a student who needs extensions for accommodations or accessibility purposes, you can grant a global time extension for any student by clicking on the gear and saying see student roster. Hold on 1 second. I got to get into a better course so that you guys can actually see this. But you can grant a global extension for a student. So let's say a student always needs time and a half on a timed exam.
Right.
You can do that across the board by going to your student roster. So from your section homepage, clicking this little gear, see student roster. And then next to the particular student who needs an extension, click manage. And here's where you can say, I'm going to allow additional 50% of time or X number of minutes, whatever the case may be. And then that will apply for any timed assignments or exams throughout the course of the semester.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
I had a question that isn't about D2L, but this has come up this semester quite a bit. How do you get rid of a student that's signed into your roster?
From the Connect side, you mean?
From the Connect side. This
So-
student has dropped. You don't want to keep getting information from them or about them, which are all
Sure.
zeros, but it's confusing.
So you can go again back to that student roster and click the gear next to section info,
Mhm.
student roster. And then you can click the checkbox next to the student who you want to drop
Okay.
and then click delete students.
Okay. That it's.
And it's going to give you a lot of warnings. Like if you do this, you can't undo it.
Fix it, yeah.
That's right. But then you can
But
just,
I couldn't figure out which thing to click. The gearbox is what I clicked. Okay.
yes, exactly. Just to get to that student roster. Yeah.
Okay.
I had a question about in D2L itself, you created a module for the McGrawHill Connect when you originally paired it. And I want you to upload those assignments. Their link to the assignment is within each content area, correct? Do you still need to have that other module visible? Can you hide that? Is there any benefit to hiding it from students or?
So you can hide it. The only benefit to having it available is that students can use that to access their ebook directly. So students have a similar screen to this. I don't know if it'll show up in my student preview mode, but students will have a screen that looks pretty similar where they can click on this Connect library and it takes them right to their ebook. If you have this Connect launch link hidden in that module, students won't have a way to just go right to their ebook. They'll only be able to do it kind of in a roundabout way through an assignment. So that's the benefit of leaving it visible.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And sometimes I'll have instructors who say, you know, in their module, if they call it McGraw-Hill Connect, or even if they say like, get started here, they'll give, you know, the registration instructions, some information, and then, you know, even put under here something that says, you know, click here to access your ebook directly, but please access your assignments directly through the links in the weekly folders or something along those lines. So making it more robust than just like McGraw-Hill Connect link kind of thing.
And what you just said at the end there, they could access it from either place. They're still going to get to the same assignment. One is going to be the whole list versus the other is direct to that assignment.
That's right. We always recommend that students do access their assignments directly through the individual assignment links to avoid any potential grade synchronization issues. But if they did happen to access it, you know, through the main assignment list or on their mobile device or something along those lines, the work will still be saved in Connect. It's just a matter of pulling the grade through. You'll just run one of those manual syncs and it should pull it through.
There's another question I'm forgetting now. And maybe it'll come to me.
I'm sorry, I have to go, but you will give us an email with all the videos and everything and your contact information, correct?
That is correct.
I have a couple of questions for you. Thank
That is
you.
correct. Yep.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions for now? And if you guys think of them later, like John said, we'll send out our contact info so you can reach out to us directly at any time.
Yeah. Hi, Jessica. Great job. You've explained quite a bit in, I guess, a short period of time here, and I appreciate you taking such steps to help us figure this out. It's a lot of information.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm more I have to have my hands in actually doing it and my roster and all of that. I'd like to set up my template. So all I have to do is, you know, upgrade or update it. So the email that you're going to send will help us kind of be more user friendly with some of this application. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it'll have all the detailed steps that walk through everything we just walked through. So that way you can kind of go through it on your own. And then if you run into questions, you can reach out. The other thing is, like we mentioned, you know, me or Ann or John can walk you through this one-on-one. We can set up a meeting. So then that way, once you're in there and you know, you've got your D2L stuff set up the way you like it, then we can just fly through the Connect side of the house.
I would say pairing when we're working with someone takes 5 to 12 minutes, maybe.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I did think of my other question is about due dates. So do you need to have the due dates in D2L to match those in Connect? What I'm getting at is if they click on that link in D2L, but it's not the correct date range, the assignment's closed on Connect, they cannot get into it, or will they see it?
Correct. So that's why these dates are auto-populated by what's included in Connect. So that's why I mentioned if you're going to change these, make sure you're changing them on the Connect side, not the Brightspace side, because changes will flow through from Connect into Brightspace, including these due dates, but not the other way around. So even if you change them on Brightspace, it won't affect it in Connect. So then if students see it changed here and go to click on it, they won't be able to complete the assignment. Okay,
I didn't see that. It actually puts the dates in. Okay, that's good to know.
Yes, yeah. Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jess, do you just want to mention the what is it, the changing a grade that has to be done at the end of a semester if it's already been taken?
Sure. So one thing to just be aware of, when I mentioned that you need to change your point values, if point value is something, so let's say I put together an assignment or I'm editing something and I noticed, oh my gosh, I have this assignment that I put as 100 points instead of 10. If there are already active students, there's not a way to adjust the total point value assigned to a Connect assignment. So we recommend overriding it on the D2L gradebook side with the caveat that any manual overrides that you input into the D2L gradebook, if you do one of those manual syncs that we were mentioning, so if I go back to my McGrawHill Connect launch link, this is what I'm talking about here. This sync with my Connect section. So essentially, like, let's say I updated some due dates and I want it to push through immediately into Brightspace. I would sync with my Connect section. That'll happen automatically at some point, depending on how often your servers between Brightspace and Connect sync up. It could be every 60 minutes, every 90 minutes. So, you know, you could have to wait an hour before you see those changes flow through. So if you wanted it to happen immediately, you would click this sync with my Connect section. Now, to get back to what John had mentioned earlier, if I do one of these syncs, it will override anything that I've manually input into my D2L gradebook. So if you notice a situation where you need to change the point values, I would save that manual input piece till the end of the term when you're done with any manual syncing. That's come up quite a few times this semester. So, you know, of course it happens, and I wish we were able to override points once students were active, but that's the workaround and the caveat at this point in time. And if you run into situations like that, at our team, you've got, and I do recommend you give this to students, we'll include this in our follow-up, but we've got a tech support line that they can call, chat, or email. During the week, it's 24 hours. Over the weekends, they're closed a few hours overnight, but you know, tech support is around. If you have a question, if you're a night owl and you've got a question at 2 in the morning on a Thursday, our tech support will be there for you. And they're happy to troubleshoot with you or your students if you run into any like technical questions and need an immediate response. Any other questions?
Thanks so much for your support.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'll send everything out. I'm going to pass it on to Lisa and Dean Hellwig, and they'll forward it along.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you too, John.
Yeah,
Thanks, John.
have a
Thanks,
wonderful
Jess.
day. We'll get this
All right, you
over and
too.
feel free to schedule with us anytime.
Okay.
All right. Great afternoon.
Care.
Bye-bye.